Reborn at 16. When the Marquise family found me, my mother said awkwardly, "The eldest son already has feelings for your sister. The second son isn't bad either. Why don't you two just make do with each other?" I shook my head. "There's no need for marriage. I want to go home." Let's begin this story. When I was brought back to the Marquise household, I was already 16, the eldest son of the Prime Minister's family, who was supposed to be my childhood betrothed, had long since fallen deeply in love with the fake heiress who had grown up in my place. My mother said awkwardly, "Yuju, the eldest son already has feelings for your sister. It's too much to ask him to switch to you now. But the second son of the Prime Minister's family isn't bad either. Why don't you two just make do with each other?" In my past life, I looked at the second son standing behind the crowd and nodded in agreement. After we married, he was indeed not bad. As my mother had said, gentle and courteous. And we had a good life together for a while. But his luck was poor. Our good times didn't even last 2 years before he died. Before his death, he said his farewells to everyone, promising to meet again in the next life. But when it came to me, he said, "In this life, I never had my parents' regard. My studies and career were all just making do. Even you were just a compromise so that Wanru could be with my brother smoothly. In the next life, please don't choose me. I don't want to live this not bad makeshift life anymore." I looked at the regret in his eyes and nodded. So in this second life, when my mother brought up second master pay again, I shook my head. "Mother, there's no need for marriage. I want to go home." The silk tree blossoms in front of the hall rustled in the wind, carrying a faint fragrance. My words rippled through the room like that scent. My mother reacted first, staring at me with disbelief. "Yuju, are you saying you want to go home because you think we favor your sister and gave her the better match? But second son is clearly not bad either. What exactly are you unhappy about?" My mother had said the same thing in my past life. She said that although Peiyu, the eldest son, was handsome, brilliant, and had passed the imperial exams at a young age, second son was also not bad. But what exactly made him not bad? My mother couldn't say, and no one in the hall cared. It was as if even standing there, he was utterly insignificant. When my mother said, "Not bad," Pei Ming said nothing. But I saw the in his hands, clenched so tightly they turned white. In that moment, my heart ached for him. I felt we were alike. My mother said Lin Wanru was graceful, intelligent, and excellent in every way. When it came to me, she paused and said, "Although our Yuju can't compare to Wanru in learning or refinement, she's still a not bad child." But what exactly made me not bad? My mother couldn't say. She only knew that I'd grown up in the countryside, hadn't read many books, hadn't learned painting or music, a village girl who knew nothing. But she didn't know that my foster mother was a famous female physician who taught me medicine. I could deliver babies at 12 and save lives at 13. I wanted to tell her these things. But the moment I started, Lin Wanru accidentally knocked over a teacup and cried out in surprise. My mother immediately rushed to her side, worried. After that, she never asked again, and I stopped wanting to tell her. My mother said Pei Ming was a good match for me. My brother said Pei Ming's talents were ordinary, which made him a perfect match for me. A country girl who couldn't read or write. They said this with such condescension. I felt their contempt and wanted to shout. Just because I grew up in the countryside and don't have the talents of a noble lady, I don't deserve a good, virtuous husband. But thinking of Pei Ming's white-knuckled hands, I swallowed all my resentment. I couldn't make a scene, otherwise Pei Ming would be hurt. Thinking he was my second choice, he was the second option after his brother, my compromise. But he wasn't a compromise. I knew his brother was better in many ways, famous from a young age, handsome, and even their parents favored him. But Pei Ming was also not bad. And this wasn't an empty compliment. I truly believed he was good. I'd seen him treat beggars on the street, breaking his last silver coins to give them enough for bread. I'd seen him bandage an injured stray cat on his way home from the academy. He might not have been as scholarly or as good at pleasing his parents as his brother, but he was still a very, very good person. I truly admired him and wanted to build a good life with him. After we married, He was exactly as I'd hoped, kind, courteous, responsible, a good husband. I worked hard to learn the capital's etiquette and be a good wife. I knew his difficulties in the Prime Minister's household. His parents favored his brother, and his elder brother was overbearing. He also knew my resentment at being found after 16 years and still not being truly loved. We dreamed of having children and moving out to live on our own. As long as we were together, we'd be fine, no matter who their parents favored. But his luck was terrible. We'd been married barely 2 years when he accompanied the second prince on a hunt. He took a poisoned arrow meant for the prince and was sent home dying. He knew he didn't have much time. He said a lot to many people. To his parents, he apologized for being unfilial and promised to repay them in the next life. To his brother, he said they'd both been learning how to be brothers in this life and would try again in the next. To Lin Wanru, he apologized for forgetting to make her the beautiful brush he'd promised in their academy days. When it was my turn, he was barely holding on. He'd left that morning saying winter was coming and he'd hunt a beautiful red fox to warm my hands. I had so many frostbites from my days in the countryside. Now we were about to part forever. I looked at him sadly, expecting him to apologize, to say he'd miss me, and promise to find me in the next life. But instead, he said those words, that being with me was a compromise, a temporary measure so that Lin Wanru could marry his brother. He said he'd actually loved Lin Wanru all along, but his inferiority complex before Peiyu had stopped him from even trying. At the end of his life, he didn't resent his partial parents or his domineering brother, he resented me for choosing him. If there's a next life, please don't choose me. Okay. I looked at the regret in his eyes and nodded. All right. I won't choose you this time. Lin Wanru's sobs pulled me back from my memories. Seeing I hadn't answered, my mother pressed on. Yuju, I know you're resentful. Peiyu is better looking and more talented than Pei Ming, but he's already exchanged betrothal gifts with Wanru and sworn to grow old with her. It's unreasonable for you to insist on switching now. As my mother finished, Lin Wanru raised her tearful eyes and knelt before me. Sister, I know I've wronged you. I took your place for 16 years. I owe you more than a marriage, I owe you my life. Take whatever you want. Lin Wanru moved too fast for me to react. My mother was the first to object, holding her protectively. What nonsense. What do you mean? Give her your life. I've raised you all these years. If anything happened to you, how could I go on living? My father frowned. Wanru, how could this be your fault? It was that wicked midwife who caused this mistake. Yuju, your sister is innocent too. Since you're our child, you should be broad-minded. You may be our flesh and blood, but Wanru is also our child, even if you don't want to. You have to accept this. My brother stared at me coldly. You grew up in the countryside without much education, but you should still be reasonable. What happened wasn't Wanru's fault. Don't blame her. Wanru and Peiyu are already in love. Even if you forced a switch, you'd only end up unhappy. As soon as he spoke, Lin Wanru sobbed even louder, and all my blood relatives looked at me with disgust. In that moment, I was back in my past life, alone, blamed by everyone. I was the most innocent one. Yet whenever Lin Wanru cried, they all forgot my pain and rushed to comfort her. But what had I done wrong? I let go of the hem I'd been clutching and repeated, Mother, I never wanted to take anything. There's no need for marriage. Just let me go home. I miss Yunjo. I'd been away too long. I truly missed my chickens, ducks, and those 2 acres of thin farmland. But my mother thought I was still being difficult, disappointed. She cried, Yuju, Wanru knelt before you, and you're still so relentless. Saying you want to go back to the countryside, aren't you just trying to force us to give you Peiyu? We've already chosen Pei Ming as compensation. Why won't you stop? Do you have to tear this family apart to be satisfied? Even after a lifetime. Her accusations still cut deep. I looked at the woman who'd given birth to me and lost me, and sighed. In my past life, I'd truly loved her, but she'd always loved Lin Wanru more. That had hurt me for a long time, but I'd let it go. I straightened my expression and said again, Mother, I truly want to leave. But no one believed me. Peiyu had come in at some point and was holding the sobbing Lin Wanru. Miss Lin, though what happened to you was unfair, Wanru and I love each other. We grew up together. Even if we had a childhood betrothal, I will only ever marry Wanru. No matter how much you argue, it won't change anything. It will only embarrass you. Be smart, take my second brother. Otherwise, a country girl who knows nothing of poetry or music won't find any good match. Even if you are the true heiress of a marquis household. He was indeed handsome, dashing and noble. The kind who could make anyone's heart race. But his words were cruel. In both lives, he used Pei Ming as his compensation, for me, and as his escape route. He never asked Pei Ming if he was willing. I looked at Pei Ming, head bowed in the corridor, and remembered the regret in his eyes before his death. Don't be afraid, Pei Ming. In this life, let me say, no, for you. I looked into Pei Yu's eyes and spoke clearly. Pei Yu, whether you believe me or not, I don't want either you or your brother. Pei Ming's head snapped up. This was our first meeting in this life. But there would be no future. I turned back to my mother. Mother, I truly want to go home. Please let me go. The room fell silent as they finally understood. My mother realized I wasn't being difficult. I truly wanted to leave. She grabbed my hand. Tears falling. Why? Yuju, this is your home too. Are you unhappy here? Why do you want to leave? I smiled bitterly. Yes, I'm unhappy. So can I go? Yuju, if there's something wrong, tell me. I'll change. I promise. My mother wept. But how could she change? They weren't cruel to me. I didn't have to farm or gather herbs. And I was waited on daily. Here, I first smelled osmanthus hand cream. First wore silk. And had my own courtyard, much finer than my country room. But my osmanthus cream was from a shop. Lin Wanru's was from the palace. My dress was from the family shop. Lin Wanru's was special. Flowing light. Gauze my brother had found for her. My courtyard was in the farthest corner from the main house. Lin Wanru's was right next to my mother's. My parents and brother weren't unkind to me, they just gave Lin Wanru the best. And gave me something. Not bad. Pei Ming had said he'd made do his whole life. So had I. And I was done making do. I pulled my hand free and said calmly, you're fine as you are. I just truly want to go home. Besides, isn't it better if I leave? Then Lin Wanru will be the only legitimate daughter of the marquis household. My mother's crying stopped abruptly. My father's brow relaxed. My brother shot me an unreadable look. Even Lin Wanru's sobs quieted. My mother looked at me for a long moment, then said gently, are you sure? Your name hasn't been entered into the family records yet. If you leave now, it won't be easy to come back. I knew she was giving me one final warning as my mother, but I no longer needed it. Looking at the silk blossoms crushed on the corridor floor, I said, then I won't come back. On the day I left, my mother cried again. They said the marquis' household had been too flashy, provoking the midwife who'd wronged me. Now that I was leaving without blame, they gave me a chest of silver as compensation. I didn't refuse. In both lives, I hadn't read much, but I knew that parents who bear children are responsible for raising them. And Lin Wanru, as their daughter all these years, had worn a single hairpin worth far more than this. This was rightfully mine. As I was getting into the carriage, my brother Lin Siyuan finally spoke. Lin Yuju, I didn't think you'd be so sensible, knowing no one wanted you here. You left on your own. But I hope this isn't an act. If I find out you're retreating to gain advantage, trying to harm Wanru or spread rumors about her, don't blame me for being harsh. Compared to you, who only shares a little blood with us. Wanru is my true sister. The murderous intent in his eyes was real. I knew he meant every word. For Lin Wanru, he would stop at nothing. Just as he had in my past life. In my past life, after Pei Ming died, his brother Pei Yu, who'd competed with him his whole life, suddenly discovered brotherly love. To continue his line, he wanted to marry both. Lin Wanru was devastated and threatened to kill herself. My brother, using the excuse of our mother's illness, lured me out and tried to force me to marry a 50-year-old merchant as a second wife. At that time, I still had hopes for my family. When I realized my brother would do this for Lin Wanru, my heart nearly shattered, but then came relief. I looked at my brother and mother trying to shove me into the bridal sedan and felt the last of my affection die. I pulled the hairpin from my head and stabbed my brother's right eye, the one that had been blind to the truth. I also scratched my mother's hand when she reached for me. Then I took my dowry and fled, never looking back. From then on, I was free. Later, I heard the Marquis's eldest daughter had disappeared. The heir had cried himself blind, and the matron had fallen ill. They searched for me many times, but never found me. I went back to Yunzhou and lived freely for over 60 more years, dying peacefully in old age. In that life, I had children and grandchildren. I'd never lacked family love. In this life, this hypocritical man could no longer hurt me. I looked at him calmly. Lin Siyuan, do you know something? He looked up, startled. What are you calling me? I said, Lin Siyuan, if I had a choice, I wouldn't want a brother like you either. He froze, his arrogance stunned silent. He wanted to say more, but I turned away. As the carriage pulled away, my mother ran after me, trying to slip a white jade bracelet onto my wrist. This was my wedding dowry. I kept one for you and one for your future sister-in-law. Yuzhu, please wear it. I pulled back. Mrs. Lin, I don't need it, she gasped. Mrs. Lin, you won't even call me mother anymore. I shook my head as the sky brightened. It's late, let me go. Mrs. Lin, my mother wept. Why? I haven't mistreated you. Everything Wanru has. You have too, and even after Pei Yu's betrothal was lost, I found Pei Ming for you. Why do you hate me? I stared at the emerald bracelet on Lin Wanru's wrist. Its color was exceptional. Mrs. Lin, I said, would you give me that bracelet instead? Her tears stopped. Lin Wanru instinctively clutched her bracelet, then looked at my mother with aggrieved eyes. My mother faltered. Wanru's bracelet was a gift from the Empress, the finest emerald. One of a kind. I gave it to her for her coming-of-age ceremony. This white jade one is also fine. Why must you want Wanru's? Why must you always want what she has? I smiled bitterly. That's the answer. She blinked. What answer? Mrs. Lin, don't you understand? That's why I'm leaving. That's why I no longer call you mother. Because you always give Lin Wanru the best, then give me something not bad and think you've been good to me. But I am also your daughter. Why can't I have the best too? Because I grew up in the countryside. Do I only deserve something not bad? So, Mrs. Lin, since you've made distinctions, our mother-daughter bond ends here. The carriage creaked into motion. Behind me, someone gasped as if fainting, followed by Lin Wanru's cries. But I no longer cared. Yunzhou was far, and I couldn't wait to leave. There was someone waiting for me there. Yunzhou was beautiful, and Qingyun village, where I'd grown up, was no less lovely. But I didn't rush home. Instead, I used the silver to buy a small clinic and settled in. Then, on a dark, windy night, I rescued the deposed crown prince, the one who'd been most ill-fated in my past life, from a den of beggars. This time, I arrived just in time. He lay covered in blood, but his eyes weren't yet blinded by the second prince's men. His legs weren't broken by beggars trying to steal his jade pendant, and the poison hadn't yet reached his vitals. I took him in, used all my medical knowledge from both lives to tend his wounds, and cleared the poison. I was confident I could heal him. This time, he would never be mocked as the blind, lame, insane emperor, nor would he die young from years of accumulated suffering. He woke 3 days later. Seeing me, he looked wary, then spoke with measured courtesy. Thank you for saving me. I'll never forget this. Then silence. I smiled, unconcerned, and returned the jade pendant I'd taken from the beggars. Saving him early in this life was enough. In my past life, I'd met him too late. He'd already lost an eye, a leg, and was tormented day and night by bone-gnawing poison. Yet he was the one who saved me on my way back to Yunzhou, when I was caught by bandits. After he settled me in Yunzhou, I learned he was the deposed crown prince, banished years ago. His exile had been brutal, transforming the brilliant, spirited young man into a horrifying sight. When I saw him again, he was a feared feudal lord. People said he was crippled, blind, murderous, and mad, even killing his own father and brother in fits of insanity. I was sent to court as a physician, but everyone feared him and refused to treat him. I wasn't afraid. I never forgot the hero who'd shot the bandit who tried to assault me outside Yunzhou. I also knew he wasn't mad, he was just driven mad by the poison eating away at him. And those he killed had all wronged him. The old emperor who'd favored his brother. The man who'd let the consort murder his birth mother. And the brother who'd ruined him. Why shouldn't they die? So I went to him, eased his pain, and entered his heart. During his reign, I was his only empress, no matter how the ministers pleaded. He wouldn't take another. We had 2 sons and a daughter, and dreamed of returning to Yunzhou when our eldest son inherited the throne. But his old injuries were too severe. We only had 12 years together. As he died, he held my hand. Life is too short. Promise me we'll meet again. I lived to 81, watching over his legacy and our children. After I died, I thought I'd find him, only to open my eyes and find I'd been reborn. Before all the tragedies. This time, the afflictions that had haunted him half his life would never touch him. And we'd met again. Whether he'd fall in love with me again, whether we'd be together again, it didn't matter. We were both young. He could pursue his own magnificent life. I could love someone else. Who could say? It took 3 months for Hao Lianqing's wounds to heal. During that time, we survived 2 assassination attempts. I drove them off with coxcomb blood and poison. After moving twice, we settled in Qingyun village, where I'd grown up. The house my foster mother had left was more dilapidated, but the herbs in the yard grew lush and green, as if she'd never left. My neighbor Aunt Peng was shocked to see me. Yuzhu, what are you doing back? I knew those nobles were no good. They must have looked down on you for growing up in the countryside. Good. They don't want you. We won't want them. Don't be sad, let me make you some egg soup. That night, both Hao Lianqing and I had egg soup, each with 2 big poached eggs. Later, Aunt San at the village head gave us millet, Uncle Zhang gave us potatoes, and a hunter gave us 2 rabbits, all people I'd helped with medical care, now repaying me. They thought Hao Lianqing was a young man I'd brought from elsewhere, and they all spoke politely to him. I didn't explain much, until Aunt Peng asked when he'd give me a baby, making him blush. I quickly distracted her. That night, after everyone left, I explained to Hao Lianqing, Aunt Peng means no harm, don't take it to heart. He looked back and gave a smile as fresh as a lotus after rain. Even in my past life, with a blind eye and scars covering his face, his smile could still captivate me. Now, with his flawless face, his smile was breathtaking. After months of shared danger, he'd let down his guard. He nodded. I know, I don't mind. Relieved. I slept well for the first time in 3 months, but was woken in the night. Someone had come to kill me, entering my room by mistake. Hao Lianqing caught him, dislocated his jaw to prevent him from taking poison, and extracted a name, Lin Wanru. So she had come to kill me, even after stealing my place. She couldn't rest easy, wanting to root me out. In my past life, Lin Siyuan had tried to sell me to a merchant. Now this, Lin Wanru, second miss of the loyalty and righteousness Marquis' household, how wonderful. Hao Lianqing repeated her name, then killed the assassin and asked, shall we move? I nodded. But Lin Wanru's targeting me didn't matter. Hao Lianqing had just recovered, and I wouldn't drag him into danger. We moved again, posing as husband and wife. I practiced medicine while he taught local children. In our spare time, we planted herbs, watered them, and he built me a swing. Days passed quietly. Sometimes, I thought this life was good enough. But Hao Lianqing had to leave. On my 17th birthday, he placed a wooden hairpin he'd carved himself in my hair. There's something I must do. I may be gone a long time, but can you wait for me? When I return, I have something important to tell you. I looked at his earnest face and nodded. I'll wait, whether days or years. It doesn't matter. He left happily, in my past life. I'd rarely seen him this happy, except when our children were born. What a blessing. He was gone for a long time. In spring, Pei Ming came to find me, dusty and worn. Seeing me, his eyes flickered. You came back too, Yuzhu. But why won't you marry me this time? Remembering the regret in his dying eyes, I said coolly, isn't that what you wanted? Pei Ming. He slumped to the ground. Yes, that's what I wanted. So I didn't come to you right away. I found Wanru, I wanted to pursue her. to make up for past regrets. But after a few days, nothing felt right. She's vain, fragile, loves to be worshipped, nothing like you. But since I'd loved her, I indulged her. In the end, she chose my brother. They married 2 weeks ago. Because Peiyu is more talented, already in the Hanlin Academy. I'm just a commoner, but he'll regret it. I have memories of the past. I'll be the second prince's savior. The prince is the emperor's favorite son. With the deposed crown prince gone, he'll be emperor. Peiyu and I will both regret this. Pei Ming ranted and left, likely to serve the second prince. I didn't tell him that in my past life. The second prince never became emperor, he'd ended up a hostage. And everyone close to him died badly. This life would be no different, because the jade pendant I'd returned to Hao. Lianqing hid the secret to the 30,000 elite troops her mother had left her. Learning that Lin Wanru had married into the Pei family, I moved back to Qingyan village. As seasons passed, another year went by. No one from the Marquis' household asked how I was. They'd kept their word, treating me as if I no longer existed. I didn't care. Others remembered me. Aunt Peng visited daily. Old Zhang brought tofu every few days. And once a month, Hao Lianqing sent a letter updating me on his situation and sharing amusing news. One such tidbit, Lin Wanru, newlywed daughter-in-law of the Prime Minister, had suddenly woken up bald, losing all her hair overnight, becoming the laughingstock of the capital. I laughed at the letter. Even in this new life, she still protected me. In the past, when she wanted to make me empress, many protested because I'd been married and widowed. The loudest were Lin Wanru and her husband, the Marquis' household, and my brother. They said I was ill-fated, first lost in the countryside, then widowed, unworthy of being empress. Hearing this, Hao Lianqing had pointed at them and asked, "These are your family?" Looking at their ugly faces, I'd shaken my head. I have no family. I had a mother once, but she died long ago. For slandering the empress, they were each beaten 50 strokes. The Marquis' title stripped, and they were demoted to commoners. Peiyu was exiled with Lin Wanru. No one dared speak of me again, even in hard times. He remembered to avenge me. Touched, I sent him 2 bottles of tonic pills. In this life, you must live to 100. Hao Lianqing returned just as Aunt Peng was trying to marry me off again. That young man is handsome. But what good is a handsome man? He's been gone years, leaving you alone. Find Nyowa ugly, but capable. A strong woman needs a man who's reliable and steady. I'm reliable too. Auntie, I'm back. In walked Hao Lianqing in dark armor. A new scar across his once flawless face, proof of how dangerous the past 2 years had been. Aunt Peng stammered, "Ah, what happened to your face?" He smiled at me, to put my wife at ease. "I'm back, though uglier now. Do you still like me?" I touched his face, heart aching. "I do, and you're not ugly." He laughed, a laugh like moonlight, leaving me speechless. I became his empress again. On his coronation day, I returned to the capital with him. But this time, he hadn't suffered as much, so he wasn't as extreme. Instead of killing his father, he broke his hands and feet and imprisoned him, making him water the human plant of his favored consort, making them feel the despair the late empress had felt. The second prince was executed on the spot. His followers fared poorly. The once prosperous Pei family was implicated through Pei Ming and imprisoned, including Lin Wanru. I heard my mother and brother begged everywhere for Lin Wanru's release. But the Marquis' household had fallen, and no one would help. My mother came to me 3 days after my return. I still remember the shock on her face when she saw the empress's carriage held me inside. My brother couldn't even lift his head. They'd thought the daughter they abandoned would never rise from that little mountain village, yet here I was, empress. My mother had lost her rank and could only kneel at the palace gates, begging to see me. A sympathetic lady told me, "Your Highness, Madame Lin has knelt for 2 days, please see her." I said nothing. On the 3rd day, I went. My brother, at her side, glared. 3 days. She's knelt 3 days, finally you show up. Even as empress, you'll never compare to Wanru. If she saw this, she'd never let mother suffer. Lin Yuzhu, you'll face retribution. I looked at his pale face and said calmly, "No, I won't." He faltered. "What? Retribution won't come to me. If heaven has eyes, it knows you're kneeling here not for me, but for Lin Wanru. So if anyone is punished, it'll be her. He bristled. My mother held him back. Yuju, don't blame him. Wanru's never known hardship. She's been in prison 7 days. Please ask the emperor to pardon her. 7 days. I laughed bitterly. She sent assassins after me 3 times in 3 years. You didn't worry a single day. 7 days. And you can't bear it. My mother was stunned. Assassins. Wanru would never. She's such a good girl. She denied it. But my brother's expression didn't change. Finally, she realized. You knew. You knew. He bowed his head. She cried so pitifully. I lost my head. But we didn't want her dead, just crippled and ugly. Evil people are all the same. My mother wept. How could you? She's your sister. She beat him. But as I left, she grabbed my skirt. Yuju. We were wrong. But Wanru made a mistake. Her heart isn't bad. For the sake of what little mother-daughter bond we have, please spare her. I looked at her, this woman who only knew how to cry, and said slowly, but we have no bond. Mrs. Lin. My mother is Li Xiangzhao. 19 years ago. She found me in a torn bundle. Raised me. Taught me medicine and how to be a person. Yesterday, she and Aunt Peng were granted titles by the emperor. I am Lin. And you are Lin, but I have no connection to you. They stared at me, speechless. Indeed, I'd left before my name was entered into the family records. I wasn't truly their child. They'd had a chance, but every time they brought it up, Lin Wanru cried nightmares. And it was postponed again and again. I gave them one last look. Don't kneel again, even if your legs rot. I won't see you. I left without looking back. Someone was sobbing behind me. I no longer cared. Later, Lin Wanru and the Peis were sent to work in frontier mines. Life was hard. She died within a few years. After her death, Pei Yu and Pei Ming fought and fell into a mine shaft together. Both died. When Hao Lianqing learned of my brother's assassination attempt, he dug up other crimes and stripped the Marquis' title again, exiling them to Lingnan. On their departure, my mother asked to see me. My brother knelt and begged my forgiveness. I didn't go. 10 years later, my mother's health failed, and she again asked to see me. I still didn't go. All the words and meetings we could have had, we'd used up in the past life. We needed no more in this one. She died at 51, 30 years earlier than I did in my past life. My brother, after her death, drank himself to death in a moat. My father, having faded into obscurity, died shouting regrets, though no one knew who he was speaking to, and those who did no longer cared. Hao Lianqing and I had 2 sons and a daughter. Just as before, when our eldest took the throne, we retired to Qingyan village, planting flowers and tending the land, just as we'd planned. This time, he was strong and healthy. Even his facial scar healed. This life, he would be with me for a very, very long time. Story 2. My brilliant cousin Cui Yan had gone mad, for a while. At least, my aunt asked if I'd be willing to marry him. Of course I agreed. A life of comfort, money, leisure, and a husband who was not capable. I'd burned 3 years' worth of incense for this. But lying awake that night, feeling the heat of his body pressed against mine, and the soft whispers in my ear, I realized something was wrong. I had indeed burned 3 years of incense, every New Year's Eve, while others stayed warm in bed. I knelt devoutly before the god of wealth. My wish was simple, a big gold nugget. But after 6 years, my family was poorer than ever, with too many mouths to feed. So at 13, I made a bold decision. On the first day of the new year, I went to the moon god temple to pray. My wish was simple, a good marriage, one with wealth, leisure, and a husband who was not capable. Another 3 years of prayers, and this year, it finally worked. My aunt, who had married well, came home to choose a bride for cousin Cui. When she arrived, I was digging sweet potatoes in the field. It was Aunt Wang, cousin Cui's servant, who asked me why I wasn't at home. She said cousin Cui had lost his wits from studying too hard. He didn't remember anything, threw fits, and had to be fed. My aunt wanted a simple, obedient wife to care for him. I couldn't believe my luck. I immediately knelt in the direction of the moon god temple, kowtowed 3 times, and ran to the ancestral hall, without even washing the mud off my feet, pledging before the patriarch's tablet to care for my cousin or face heaven's wrath. I swore so fervently that the patriarch agreed. He even praised me to my aunt. This girl is strong, she could lift the young master by herself if she had to. My aunt agreed. The betrothal gift was 50 whole taels of silver. My parents' jaws nearly fell off. I solemnly warned them not to have any more children. After saying goodbye to my 2 older sisters and 3 younger sisters, I followed my aunt. The Chui family was famous, many scholars and officials. My cousin Chui Yen was 2 years older than me, handsome beyond measure, tall and straight, with phoenix eyes and sword-like brows. But now he sat on the bed, blank and obedient. I'd seen him before. Years ago when he visited our village, I'd given him a willow wreath. Such a brilliant person. Ruined. I'd heard he'd passed the imperial exams at the provincial level. If not for this, he'd be going to the capital next year for a career. But if he weren't mad, he'd never even have me as a maid, let alone a wife. Ha! Fortune was truly mine. I devoured the braised pork, ribs, and a whole chicken, then belched. As I grew sleepy, I noticed him sitting on the bed. I perked up. Air. Would you like something to eat? I smiled at him warmly. If I didn't take good care of him, my aunt would send me back home. I didn't want to go back, we never had enough to eat. So I smiled as sweetly as I could. How about a snack? Chui Yen held a pomegranate and frowned. No. I coaxed. Just 1 bite, if you do. I'll show you my special talent. He looked curious. I grabbed a brick from the corner and set it on the table. Finish the snack, and I'll break it for you with my bare hands. That'll be our married fun, you got a good deal with me. He snorted and turned away, looking insulted. But I wasn't discouraged, I'd raised 3 sisters. I leaned in. All right. I'll make a deal, 1 bite, 1 kiss on the cheek. He tilted his head, eyes wide and innocent. Just when I thought he'd refuse, he bit the pastry and proudly offered his cheek. I laughed and planted a kiss on it. What a good boy. He took another bite, and I kissed him again, and again, 15 times for 1 tiny cake. I asked, can't you just swallow it? He pouted and turned away. Fine. Fine, if you eat. I'll do anything. His eyes lit up. I thought he'd want the brick-breaking show. But instead he pointed at the moon. What's so special about the moon? I yawned. Cousin, I'm sleepy, let's go to bed. He shook his head and kept looking. His lashes were long, his eyes clear and bright. I wondered what he'd been like before, a noble scholar, bright as moonlight. I tugged his sleeve. He looked at me. Cousin, want a story? He nodded eagerly. I told one my mother used to tell. At night, the streets belong to ghosts, people must stay inside. He looked shocked, scared. I grinned. He nodded. I took his hand. Then let's go to bed. This time he followed without resistance. After washing up, he lay inside. I outside. I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. He kept edging closer, warm and fragrant. I sniffed him. Beautiful people smell good too. I thought, why aren't you sleeping? He murmured, meow. I'm afraid of ghosts. I hugged him and patted him. Don't worry, I'll protect you. He nestled against me. Since we were married, it was only natural. Good thing he's mad. Or else. I muttered. Or else what? He asked suddenly. Nothing. Nothing, kids shouldn't ask. Sleep. He fell quiet. And soon I was asleep too. Next morning, I helped him dress. When I came back from washing, he was shirtless, struggling with his buttons. His body was well proportioned, and my face flushed. He heard me and turned, looking troubled. Can't button it. I helped him, fingertips brushing his skin. I felt the heat. I'd always been glad he was incapable, but I never expected him to be so beautiful. My mind wandered. Meow. Why's your face so red? The room's warm. Me too. He started undoing the buttons I'd just fastened, bad at buttoning, good at unbuttoning. His pale skin dazzled me. I froze. He waved a hand. Meow. You're bleeding. I touched my nose, blood. He wiped it for me. Meow likes me, and I like Meow. How did he know all this? How could I resist? At breakfast, We met the elders. The Chui clan was enormous. I'd heard he was the brightest child, everyone's hope for the future. His father had been negotiating a match with the magistrate's daughter, a true noble lady, but when he went mad, it fell through. I wore my best dress, careful with my calloused hands. In the hall, people stared. Village girl, illiterate, a lotus on a dung heap. I heard it all. My aunt looked at him with red eyes. Her pain must have been far worse than my embarrassment. I kept my head down. Suddenly Chui Yen smashed his teacup. Shut up, he yelled. The young master is having another episode. My aunt panicked. He overturned tables, threw things, shattered teacups, chaos. He grabbed a sword. Aunt Zheng screamed. I ran to him. Don't. Let me handle it. I wrapped my arms around his waist, patting his back. It's okay. If you don't like it here, we'll go. He relaxed. They're all bullies. Yes, they are. We'll ignore them. Later, in the kitchen, I asked why he got so angry. They were mean to you, he said. For me. I was touched. Wait here, I'll make you my famous knife-shaved noodles. His eyes sparkled. I was a good cook, once. A guest at the patriarch's house loved my noodles so much I got a reward. He nodded enthusiastically. I rolled the dough with extra gusto. After eating, I walked him back. My aunt intercepted us. No more trouble. He ate and wants a nap. She sighed. He listens to you. Then she turned to him. Chui Yen, you shouldn't have thrown that tantrum, you embarrassed me. She was crying again. He remained blank. She told Wang Mama to take him to rest. But he wouldn't go. Finally, she spoke in front of him. You see the situation. He was meant to marry a noblewoman. Marrying you is only because he needs constant care. He's being treated, and will recover. Don't think of yourself as his true wife. I nodded. Once he's better, we'll figure out your place. I agreed. I had food, clothes, and 50 taels. I had no room to complain. And one more thing. She whispered. No children. My face flushed. My aunt left. I found him counting ants. Nap time. He looked me over, seemed pleased, and took my hand with a smile. When he was asleep, I asked Wang Mama about his illness. She whispered. That day, he studied in the morning, ate my dumplings, and then his father announced an engagement, a visit to the magistrate in 3 days. After visiting the academy, he came home and burned all his writings. The doctors said it was a burnout. His mind snapped. Now he's like a child of 3 or 4. Can it be cured? Only with long-term care. I sighed. She smiled. Don't worry, just take care of him. He likes you, that's a good sign. I nodded. I did my sewing nearby. He woke. Meow. Why aren't you sleeping? I don't nap, you sleep. But my arm hurts. I massaged it. Now my head. I rubbed his temples. Now my back. I scratched. His skin was soft. And I sniffled. What are you thinking? Babies. I blurted. He sat up and nodded. Let's have babies. I waved my hands. No. No, we can't. He pouted. I kissed him. He opened his arms. He was shirtless. I hugged him. Nose itching. Meow. Meow. He nuzzled into my shoulder. I like meow. I'd prayed for a husband who was no good, but if he was this sweet and clingy, I was in trouble. The next day was my first visit home. My aunt didn't let Chui Yen come, so I planned to leave early, but he clung to the cart, insisting. My aunt relented. Take care, no strange food. No strangers, watch him. He rode happily, then lay with his head in my lap. Meow. Can we go out? Where? Anywhere, as long as it's with you. When you're better, I said. At home. My parents were thrilled, and the patriarch came, weeping at the sight of him. After the meal, my mother whispered, he's like a god. Have a child soon, if he recovers. He'll marry a noble lady. Tonight. Consummate, once you're pregnant. They can't send you away. I brushed her off. I'll handle it. I went to wash dishes. Qin Dongnan appeared with pumpkins. Jiang Miao, I heard you married. He looked at Chui Yen. He's the Chui heir you've met. I said. He was now glaring at Qin. Can we talk? Qin asked. I stepped outside. He asked why I'd married. Before I could answer, Chui Yen shouted. Meow. Who's that? I introduced him. He pulled me away, then turned to Chen. She's mine. I went back to washing. He's not as handsome as me. I laughed. I like you, of course. He kissed my cheek. We visited the patriarch. He'd helped our village thrive. I showed Chui Yen the kitchen, the locust tree, and told him about the guest who loved my dumplings. Next spring, I'll make them for you. In summer, we'll fish. In winter, we'll hunt rabbits and pheasants. He stayed quiet. I stopped. He said, if Meow likes it, I like it. Who says you're mad? You're sweeter than any normal person. At home, he waited for me to sleep. I gave in. He kissed me. Babies. Who told you? Mother. He kissed my ear, and I burned. How did he know all this? When you're better, let's have them. Get well soon. He nodded solemnly. I will, so we can have them early. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Visitors came, half-brother Chui Yu, cousin Chui Rong, and others. They invited him to a poetry gathering. He refused. Later, my aunt told me my father had given Zhang's daughter to Chui Yu. The magistrate's family had proposed. She was furious. He's a concubine's son, but he's schemed to steal Zhang, and now he's getting all the honors. Soon, he was the family's new hope. My aunt was sidelined, and the stewardess was replaced. When my father tried to physically force a change, I stepped in, pushing him back. He fell. In rage, he ordered me bound. My aunt and Chui Yen protected me. I'll never give in. She shouted. He shouted back. Without the Chui family, you'll be back to farming. She laughed. Farming made you what you are, don't forget. He left in fury. My aunt collapsed. What would you do? She asked me. Go home, work. Live. Chui Yen nodded. She smiled. You're true Jiangs. We packed and moved to Jiangjia village. Autumn came, chestnuts, sweet potatoes, pears, and pear syrup. My aunt's face softened watching her son. The patriarch told her to let go. Her son was happy. He never played as a child. She said, I've never seen him smile like this. I was glad. Too, I learned to read and taught my sisters. Spring came, Chui Yu married Zhang, and her father's high position took him to court. My father visited. He and my aunt argued behind closed doors. I'll never let the concubine take my place. She said, while I live. He stays a concubine's son, their dreams are nothing. She had him thrown out. I brought tea. It may be better to just divorce. I said. She refused. It was a matter of principle. But I was uneasy. That night. Nightmares and a fire. Chui Yen. I dragged him up. Stay here, don't move. I ran to rescue my aunt. Others helped. But the fire was fierce. I rushed through smoke and got her out. Collapsing. I looked for him. He was standing. Dirty but composed. Clear-eyed. I froze. Cousin. He came to me. But something was different. Are you hurt? I asked. I'm fine. Let's see to my mother. Later. My aunt wept as he comforted her. Your illness. Forgive me, I'm well now. She sobbed in relief. I was stunned. My mother whispered. He seems different, did you consummate? I shook my head. Fool. Now he'll send you away. That night. He didn't come. I felt lonely, he'd always clung to me. Perhaps he'd never really wanted me, it was just my aunt's decision. But later. Footsteps. He returned. I stammered. Cousin, you're back. He nodded. And I thought I saw hurt in his eyes. An awkward silence. The next morning. News. Concubine Lu was dead. Suddenly. My aunt was overjoyed, her rival and her son's illness, both gone. At lunch. I automatically piled food on his plate. He looked at it. I'm used to it, if you can't finish. I will. I can. He ate carefully. I relaxed. The patriarch asked about the fire. It was arson, someone wanted to kill my mother. My aunt snorted. He deserved it. I thought of concubine Lu, had she wanted the position, and her sudden death. I glanced at him, he ate calmly. You've cut your hand, my aunt said. I looked, it was a small wound. Already scabbing. Get the medicine. He tended it himself, such a strange role reversal. Thank you. Don't let it get wet. The patriarch observed. You two should share a room, it's cold. I didn't dare look. All right. He said. I was surprised. That afternoon, I heard he'd met a young lady. Smiling, I asked Wang Mama, it was Miss Zhao, his teacher's daughter. Before the Zhang proposal, the mistress had considered her. She said, I wondered about their relationship. I don't want to be a concubine, I'd rather go home. I went to my parents' house. They were fighting, my father wanted more sons. I gave my mother a silver tael. If he sends you away, ask for 100 taels. She said, make it 200. I said, but you like him. I know my place. I said. Suddenly, my sister called. Third brother-in-law. It was Cui Yen, he'd heard. I ran out. I came to fetch you. He said, I'm staying here tonight. He nodded and left. Then Chen Dongnan came, inviting me to hunt. As we left, I saw a figure in the dark. Was it him? But he'd gone. The next day, my aunt said, Cui Yan's going to the capital for the exams, you'll go with him. He seemed reluctant. It's a hard journey, she'd be tired. He said, but I went to pack. I've packed your clothes and knee pads, it's cold there. He was silent. Here's money for expenses. He said, 500 taels. Are you divorcing me? I asked. No, is there someone else? No. Can we wait until I return? Of course. As I headed to the kitchen, he called, Jiang Miao, will you make me locust flour dumplings when I'm back? Yes, you're my cousin. There'll always be some. He left quickly, and the house grew quiet. I hunted and gathered. Spring came, and I hoped he'd enjoy the flowers. On the last day of April, I was carrying a basket of wild vegetables when I heard firecrackers, a procession, and at the head, a young man on a horse. It was Cui Yen, in crimson robes. Cui Yen passed the top exam. You're the wife of the top scholar. He'd done it. The village celebrated. He received a mountain of invitations. He claimed illness for peace. His father came, was driven off, but boasted about the top scholar lane, named in his honor. My aunt refused his reconciliation. At dinner, I asked about second young master. He didn't pass. He said, then added flatly, he's also gone mad, and remembers nothing. My aunt and the patriarch exchanged confused looks. I only cheered. Serves him right. They both smiled. Later, Miss Zhao came. I felt a pang of jealousy. I'd been about to prepare a divorce letter anyway. He came to my room later. I'm leaving for the capital in half a month. He said, what will you do here? I asked. You said you'd make dumplings. I promised. All the cured meat. Did Qin Dongnan help you hunt it? I arranged a match for him. He seemed pleased. It's late, let's rest. He went to wash. I hesitated. Then a crash, I ran in. He was in the tub, unharmed but looking at me with wet eyes. My arm hurts, can you rub it? I knelt to help. My back itches, no one's helped me all year. I scrubbed. Flustered. Arm still hurts. Did you overwork it? No, I broke it. What? On the way, the carriage overturned. It was only my left hand. He showed me. It still hurts. As I examined it, he said, you're bleeding again. I dashed. He caught me. I glared. You're doing this on purpose, watching me blush. Were you with Miss Zhao this afternoon? Or with me? Why would I divorce the woman I worked so hard to marry? He asked. What do you mean? Without my illness, I'd never have had a chance with you. He handed me a pouch. It was filled with silver notes. You wanted 200, as my wife. You'll have many times that. I want to eat your locust flour dumplings every spring. I nodded, speechless. He held me tightly. I swear, no other women. I tucked the silver away, already planning to visit the moon god temple to give thanks. Cui Yan sighed. My illness wasn't an illness, it was poison. It wasn't instant, I'd had signs. A doctor said it was a slow poison that would fade if stopped. I knew who did it, so I prepared for my madness. When I was unfit, I'd need someone reliable. Jiang Miao was my choice. 2 summers ago, I stayed at my grandfather's. From my study, I watched her hall game, bargain fiercely, yet secretly return coins. She climbed trees, cooked beautifully, and laughed like sunlight. I'd told Wang Mama, if my mother arranged a match, choose Jiang Miao. I knew she'd agree. She'd been praying for a wealthy, idle husband who was useless in bed. My madness fit perfectly. When I was mad, I mostly wasn't in my right mind. But I knew she was there, just as I'd hoped. She said she liked me, bled at the sight of me. I'd tease her by opening my robe. The day I recovered, she was already planning to leave for money. Was I worse as a sane man? I decided to leave early for the exams. I gave her 500 taels, hoping she'd see that as a wife. She'd have much more. She lit up, a true money lover. When I returned, I couldn't wait. I let her see Miss Zhao. Myself in the bath, I knew she liked me, just as I liked her. People said I should marry a noblewoman for my career, but I didn't need one. The official world was dangerous. I wouldn't gamble on a stranger's luck. As for Cui Yu, he'd plotted against me. I repaid him. Now, he'd be outcast. The world is full of clever people, but kindness and honesty, like Jiang Niao's, are rarer. So, what do you think of this story? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your voice.